Hello and welcome back. Today we are airborne. We are at 15,000 feet, flying from Aalborg towards Hans Christian Andersen Airport, or better known as Odense Airport. I'm doing this flight to demonstrate that the autoland works just fine. The video from yesterday, it didn't go well. Some of it is basically due to the fact that the information isn't the same for the aircraft as well as the simulator. And of course, yesterday you used the wrong direction, so of course the aircraft wouldn't be able to fly in. However, it is very important that you use the correct information. Because if I take the Aalborg airport that we was landing in, you will know that from the map, if I just go in and set tune in nav 1, the aircraft actually gives us the direction of 260 degrees. That is actually correct according to the newest charts available. However, if I take the data that the aircraft was displaying, it was a different story. Because the aircraft can tell you the information. Go to this reference page just as when we was departing. When we are airborne, it gives us the approach references. I can set up our landing speed here, and you can see the frequency we would need to tune into, and then it would give us the direction, 239 degrees. However, for Aalborg, this value was 263 and not 260 as it is. If I look at the chart, it is 260 for Aalborg. If I look here at Hans Christian Andersen Airport, the direction to the runway is in fact, according to the chart, 238 degrees and not 239 degrees. Now it is going to be nice to see what the aircraft actually, what the simulator says is the correct value when we get closer here to Hans Christian Andersen Airport. Let's tune it in. Now it is tuned, and it says 236 degrees. So that's the difference in 3 degrees, as you can see. And according to the chart that I got, it is 238. So I actually sit here and have 3 values. But it seemed that if I took my value from the FMC, it worked okay. It worked fairly okay. But might just need here to set a speed restriction, and then the aircraft would say we can't achieve that. That's it. Unable to yeah. That's just me. Now we're getting closer, so what I actually want to do is I want to extend the speed base. And you know that I had some mouse issues. I tried with another mouse that actually was cheaper than this mouse from another person, and it works just fine. Not sure what's wrong with this Logitech mouse, because normally Logitech works just fine, but in this case it seems that it isn't that great for X-Plane. So that's it. What I also could have done here, if I wanted to edit, is go into the ODVR and say we need to be at around 180 degrees, because the slower we can get in there, the better. Around 2000 feet. Then it again says it's not capable of doing so. What we can then do is that we can pull out the outer throttle. There we go, outer throttle out, and manually idle and fully extended speed brake descent here. And then I could switch off the VNAV, and this is why I normally tend not to use the VNAV, because I like to have the ability to actually control the descent and such. Because often I feel that the VNAV is a bit, also because due to the fact of the calculations of how things are, because it to work correctly it will need all the information like it has in reality, that it gets data from the waypoints about wind speeds and all those things. There are a lot of things that actually comes into the calculation for the aircraft to do this correctly. Right now I can see that the aircraft tells us that we would be below or down at 2000 feet well before we actually reaches the position in this airport, but then we can just switch on the auto throttle and then try to adjust the vertical speed again. And this is what pilots often do, switch between the modes in order to keep the best flow here of both keeping a nice airspeed, descending at a nice rate, so we can achieve what is necessary here. But also the reason we want to be slowed down is that it is some kind of a sharper turn, but not only that, also because air traffic controller often tends to give us a shorter route in, so we would be making more direct and not flying entirely to the ODVR station, as it's not required as such. But let's try to set the course to what the aircraft actually told us, and it is 139er. That's the main course, even though X-Plane means it is 236. And according to the real chart, it's a difference of 2 degrees instead of the 3 degrees difference. But yeah, that's how it is. Then we would arm the approach button. We could also set the view on lock if that was what we wanted to, but we don't do that. But we really want the approach mode to engage, so that's what we are going to do. And over here we could come back to the map and set DD2 as well. Then you have the ability for the dual ILS approach, and it would make it more accurate, even though the aircraft would be able to do it with only one autopilot engaged. You could try with one autopilot, however, it often tends to be a bit more sensitive and tricky at times. But let's see how it goes. Okay, air traffic controller gives us a shorter route. That's what we also would have expected. So now we are making a turn in here. Of course, not that shorter. There we go. We have to still enter the main path for the ILS here. That would be great. And we are around 3,000 feet here. And we also want to slow down the aircraft now. So now we are decelerating the aircraft as well. But we continue our descent and we actually get down to our main altitude, as then it's easier for us to bleed up the speed afterwards. Got such a wind direction change here, you can see. It changes quite a bit, the wind direction. Okay, and now we are just letting the airspeed drop and start using some flaps here, and in a moment we would also retract the speed brakes. We do it now. The aircraft starts to accelerate again in order to keep that airspeed, but we want to slow further down here so we don't come in hot. It's actually a bit difficult to see the arm light down there, if it's actually arm or not. Here we go. Get some more flaps in here. Making ourselves ready for the approach here. It actually seems a bit slow to get those flaps out at the moment. Okay. Landing gear warning. Landing gear to come out here, and you can see further down here. And now you saw the aircraft actually captured the glide path here. So now the aircraft actually starts its descent towards the runway. Not sure what happened there for the flaps, because it was like it didn't move as such. I know it can be a bit slow, but just a bit like it was hanging there. And now you have to slow down, and you can then, if you're unsure, you can go down to your reference speed 190 knots. It should be, of course, you can have a plus or minus depending on the main wind, but the wind isn't that strong. But we could add around 1 to 2 knots, then we are on the safe side here. And then you can just enjoy the descent here. into Schlind Andersen Airport. Yeah, it is a bit funny that when it actually has captured the ILS, the button is not like lit up anymore, and that it might be what you might get confused, because you sit wondering, is it active or isn't it active? Because if you are used to some other aircraft, you would know that the lighting of the button would light up as long as it is actually active, so it is a bit different there. But you can see the aircraft comes in pretty fine.
Minimum.
Seems a bit off the center when you set it to this course.
20.
Oops. Come on. Here we go. We're going to make it go around here.
Flight slow. Flight slow. Flight slow.
Here we go. Then you also saw and go around here. Then let's try to adjust the value to what actually X-plane is saying, to see if that would actually be better, because you actually saw the aircraft actually displayed that it was not entirely on the line. But it could also be down to the accuracy of only using the pilot's side. But this time, again, we are gonna set the value according to what X-plane says. Here we go. It is set on both sides. Here we go. And then we can try again. Oops. I would switch on the auto throttle here again. Flight here, and I would set. Here we go. Oops. Down to around 2,000 feet we go. Heading bug is here, so let's set that on. Yeah. Then get the gear down so we can get rid of that horn. There we go. Here we go. descending. It should. Here we go. Idling the throttle here again, so it's descend faster. There we go. Here we go. Ready for interception again. On the approach. And making the aircraft decelerate here as well when you get down to 2,000 feet here. You really need to decelerate here. Get some more flaps in order to fly at this low speed. Could try go a bit below. The main flight path here, as that would also help the aircraft to get into the main flight path, because we are actually pretty close right now, and we would need the aircraft to stabilize itself before it actually is good. Okay, let's see if the aircraft would capture the main glide path here. But as you can see, it is a bit confusing with the data. Of course, if both nav databases was accurate, it may not be a huge problem. Well, it is a bit odd here when it actually captures the main approach here. You can see how it seems to making some adjustments. Okay, so let's see how it goes this time. Can of course switch to the ILS page here. What it actually does displaying is the same reference as we got up here as such. If I try entering the second copilot, it doesn't really seem to be that more accurate at the moment. Disable it again, go back to the approach mode here and just see how it actually goes with the single nav here, because in reality it should be able to fly more or less directly to the runway. Of course, when you're using both, it is more accurate and tries and is required in low visibility, but right now we have plenty of visibility and it should be just fine. Also because the wind isn't that much of a challenge, it is more or less a headwind that we actually have here.
700.
This time it seems a bit better now, but let's see if it would drift off course again.
Minimum. Flight slow. Flight slow. Flight slow. Flight slow. Flight slow.
It doesn't like those abrupt changes there, as you can see, but it was more accurate this time.
50.
It was just due to the late change in the airspeed that actually
Flight slow.
made it balloony there,
Flight slow.
so it didn't
Flight
work out
slow.
that well.
Flight slow.
But other than that, it actually worked out pretty well. Okay, and this time we're just gonna land. And now we are down to the main airspeed that we should be at, so it shouldn't cause the problems. But this hopefully gives you some knowledge about the aircraft and how important it is that you actually are keeping those correct speeds, and that the data that you put into the aircraft has to be correct, else the aircraft will not be able to fly correctly. But of course we get those issues here when we have two databases that is not the same. Perhaps if I had the same nav data for both X-plane and the aircraft, it hopefully would show the same values, and then we have no problem. But this is a good example of what people might experience when they don't have the latest nav data, just rely on the data that comes with the aircraft. And then I can add a small note here about nav data and such, because now I have been tester of add-ons, and there has been a lot of talking about the nav data that is provided by Navigraph and Aerosoft, that relies on the Lufthansa Lido data. And what you should be aware of is that if you're using the Lufthansa Lido data, if it's still as it were back when I used it, it only uses the procedures for the larger aircraft, more the airliners, as it seems to be that part that Aerosoft actually has access to. Also, because it was implemented into their own Airbus and such, when it actually was around when they introduced it. However, it also has the effect that procedures that you may find for basic category A and B aircraft is not in there. So if you have an aircraft, then if you use Aerosoft, you have less procedures than you have by Navigraph data. And I have demonstrated that during testing. One of the times was actually the nice aircraft from Aerobasque. They implemented this feature like a B750, the nice add-on there, and I loved using it. However, I found that procedures was missing if you use the data from Aerosoft, sadly. And that's why I say this, so you actually know that when you are buying your data. Not that I say one is better than the other, because there are some differences in how they actually are displaying things. Waypoint names and such is not done in the same way, and that's also why developers have a bit of headache supporting both, because you have two ways of doing the same thing. But if you want the most procedures from how it was, I can't say how it is today because I don't have those add-ons, but I say it as a general, what I have seen in the past is that Navigraph often gives you more procedures in their net data for more aircraft types than Aerosoft. And that was why when I originally had the Aerosoft data and had the latest and sit and say, well, I want to do this approach into IXEG. Let's say Samos, I know that was actually it was that airport I actually had problems with down in Greece. Then those procedures was not there, and then someone else that actually had the Navigraph said, well, it is here. And that was basically because of the difference in the data provided. Because in that aircraft it's not a large aircraft, so it would be quite nice to use the procedures for smaller aircraft. So that's one thing that not a lot of people is talking about, even though here for the IXEG, they originally said they would support the Aerosoft because it has the best data, so it's such, and that could be, and especially since you are flying an airliner, that would be valid. But if you have other aircraft you want to use nav data for, you also have to take that into account when you are choosing your nav data source. Okay, so now we are aligned again, goes very well. and I'm ready to take over at any minute now. Setting my throttles at the same here, so I actually can take over the control if things isn't going as planned. And it seems to, but just to make sure, I would switch on. Okay, I can't do that now. Okay.
100.
We continue with just one.
50, 40, 30.
Here we go.
20, 10.
Here we go. Landing. Thrust reverses up. Full reverse. And we got the warning. Here we go. Off with that. And we have arrived. For some reason, the data from the FMC for the course was not the best. Here in Odense, we're actually using what was in the simulator, works the best. For Aalborg, it seemed that it worked fine with what the FMC actually told us. However, it could be down to that that the aircraft had the right amount of wind, that it got us in the right direction, so it didn't make a lot of problems for us. But now you see why you can get into problems, and now we actually explored it together, and that was why I did the video, because if I just said that it works this way, then another would say, well, it's not. Now you actually have some references for it, and can judge as you like. But I would like to say thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.